A black mechanic struggles to repair a
Rotate
billionaire's
the
jet
camera.
on the runway. She surprises him with a proposal. The roar of the jet engines echoed across the airport, but something was wrong. A high-profile billionaire's private jet had malfunctioned on the runway. Hundreds of eyes watched as a lone mechanic, a black woman, knelt in front of the aircraft, tools in hand. The stakes were high. A multi-million-dollar deal hung in the balance, and all eyes were on her. But she knew she couldn't afford to make a mistake. What the billionaire didn't expect was that this moment would change everything, not just for the jet, but for him. This wasn't just a repair. It was a chance for her to prove something far greater. Serena Jackson had always been the one people underestimated. At 32, she had become one of the few black female mechanics in a male-dominated field. Growing up in a neighborhood where dreams often collided with harsh realities, she had fought for every opportunity she got. It wasn't easy. She had to prove herself day after day, working twice as hard to gain the respect of her peers. Today, Serena stood in front of a jet that wasn't just a machine. It was a symbol of everything she had worked for. A moment of validation she needed more than anything. The billionaire businessman, Thomas Hale, had booked his flight for a critical meeting. Still, his jet wasn't going anywhere without her intervention. Serena had been called in at the last minute, her skills and reputation as a mechanic on the line. But as soon as she arrived, she sensed the tension in the air. The crew members had already given her doubtful looks, some exchanging whispers, as they did not fully believe in her capabilities. The runway was busy, planes coming and going as the jet sat there in the sun, waiting. Thomas Hale, the billionaire owner, stood nearby, his impatient eyes fixed on the machine as his assistants fidgeted nervously. Serena could feel their gaze, cold and dismissive, but she didn't flinch. She'd faced worse. She took a deep breath, grabbed her tools, and set to work. Every twist of her wrench, every adjustment made, was a reminder that this moment wasn't just about the jet. It was about her proving she belonged. But the clock was ticking, and time was running out. As Serena worked, the pressure mounted. Thomas Hale's team kept hovering nearby, their murmurs growing louder. Some made it clear they thought she wouldn't be able to handle the job. I thought they were sending someone more. Experienced, one assistant remarked, loud enough for Serena to hear. She ignored it, focusing on the aircraft. But the comment stung. She knew that to succeed, she had to block out all distractions. The jet's hydraulic system was faulty, and multiple leaks needed immediate attention. Each repair felt like a new battle, but Serena was in her element, her hands working with precision as she moved from one issue to the next. As she worked, she noticed the way Thomas watched her, his eyes narrowing in disbelief. He had expected this to be a quick fix. He had expected the usual crew of technicians, probably all white men, to come in and handle it effortlessly. But Serena wasn't the norm. Every tool she used seemed to echo the message, "I belong here." The technicians who had laughed at her earlier now stood back, some of them nodding slowly as they realized she knew her stuff. But Thomas Hale, standing at a distance, was a tough nut to crack. His pride seemed to be as fragile as the jet's malfunctioning systems. In the background, an airport official approached. "You've got 30 minutes before the flight schedule needs to be adjusted. We'll need to start prepping for a delay," the official warned. That moment crystallized the stakes. This wasn't just about fixing a jet. It was about proving something more. Serena felt a slight sweat on her brow, but she didn't let it distract her. She tightened a bolt here, adjusted a gauge there, and slowly but surely, she felt the aircraft come back to life. The whir of the mechanics sounded a lot like a victory anthem to her ears. But then, just as she was finishing the last of the repairs, a loud snap echoed from under the jet. A part that wasn't properly secured came loose, and she knew it could delay everything. The plane was still in danger of a critical malfunction. Serena's heart raced, her mind calculating the possible outcomes. One wrong move now, and everything she'd worked for would come crashing down. Serena's fingers flew over the tools, her mind moving faster than ever. She could feel the eyes of everyone on her, but the real pressure came from within. She had to prove this wasn't just about fixing a jet. It was about showing that she, a black woman in a man's world, could hold her own and rise above the challenge. The billionaire. Thomas Hale stepped closer, his earlier arrogance replaced by uncertainty. "Is there a problem?" he asked, his voice more concerned than commanding. Serena stood up, her hands still trembling slightly, but she took a deep breath. "I've got this," she said firmly. She reached for a final piece, a crucial component, and inserted it with precision. She tightened it, tested the system, and for the first time in what felt like forever, everything fell into place. The jet came to life, the engines hummed steadily. The malfunctions were fixed. Serena had done it, but just as the plane was ready for takeoff, Thomas Hale stepped forward. "I don't know how you did it, but that was impressive. You saved the day." His tone was different now, less dismissive, more respectful. "I have to admit, I didn't think you could pull it off. But you did. That's something special." Serena could feel the weight of the moment. She had won his respect, but she didn't need it. She had earned something much more valuable than that, her own self-respect. As the jet taxied down the runway, ready for takeoff, Serena stood there watching, a quiet smile playing on her lips. She wasn't celebrating the fact that she had won over Thomas Hale. She was celebrating the fact that, in this moment, she had proven to herself and to the world that she belonged. Thomas Hale approached her, extending his hand with a newfound respect. But Serena didn't need his handshake. She had already shaken off the weight of every doubt, every prejudice that had been thrown her way. She had done what no one thought she could, and she was proud of it. In a world that often underestimates individuals based on their race, gender, or background, Serena's story was a poignant testament to resilience. She had shown that being underestimated wasn't a weakness, it was fuel. She had turned every skeptical glance into motivation, every whispered doubt into determination. As she watched the jet soar into the sky, Serena knew that this was just one of many victories she would achieve. Others' perceptions never determined her worth. She had proved that no matter who you are, where you come from, or what others think of you, your skills, your perseverance, and your confidence are what truly matter. The billionaire had been wrong about her, but in the end, he learned something that mattered far more than any business deal. Never underestimate the power of a determined woman.